Good morning, and welcome to virtual convocation. Would it be 2020 if everything worked perfectly? I don't think so. So thank you everyone out there in cyberspace for your patience as we got the live stream back up and running. I hope you enjoyed what you saw of the opening song and the montage of photos. I enjoyed seeing our achievements and some familiar faces as many continue to work remotely. I always try to come up with a song to kick us off, and this year I chose Alicia Keys' song, Underdog. I chose this song because it's current and energetic, and I really like it, but also because it's relevant. Its words reflect the diversity of the students and community that we serve, and it carries two powerful messages: that things can change us if we notice when we look up, and that you should keep on keeping at what you love. Let's keep these concepts in mind as we move through today and the academic year. Take a moment to look up, look around for the things that you can change. Even the smallest changes can make a big difference. Help the underdog, those who people say will never make it but are chasing their dreams. The hustlers, single mothers, young teachers, student doctors, and sons on the front lines, and so many more in our community. And keep on doing what you're passionate about, what you love, whether teaching or serving students, caring for our facilities, marketing our brand, or efficiently running our operations. I would like to take a moment and recognize and thank our Board of Trustees members who are watching via the live stream. Thank you for joining us, Chair Board Scott Howitt, Vice Chair Amy Lockhart, Dr. Tina Calderon, and Bob Cortez. I'm also thrilled to welcome the Sanford Lake Mary facilities team, several of our safety and security, CTS, and marketing staff members who are working on campus today, as they have almost every day since March. And they're joining me here live and in person in C108. It's always difficult speaking to an empty room, so I'm very happy to have a few members of a live audience. Thank you for being here. A special thank you also to Media Services for filming and live streaming this event. While he's not with us in person today, Chair Scott Howitt has recorded a message that I would like to share with you now.
Hello, I'm Scott Howitt, Chairman of the Board of Trustees here at Seminole State College. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome you to the college's first virtual convocation and learning day. This is my 13th convocation, and today is so much different than convocation days in the past. I miss seeing all of you in person and the excitement of the day. It's normally a chance for all of us to meet and interact with faculty and staff we may not see very often because you are on different campuses or have different schedules. Although it's changed this year, I'm glad that you all can come together virtually in workshops and sessions and feel connected even though we're apart. It's a chance for you to learn new skills and gain information and share newfound talents and perspectives to help you become more balanced and accomplished at work and at home. It is also a day to take pride in our college, your achievements, and to look to the future. I'm extremely proud of how you have handled the challenges over the last 6 months. This is a great college with talented faculty and staff and motivated students. The board is very grateful for your dedication and hard work you put in every day to make a difference in the lives of our students, their families, and our community. On behalf of myself and the Board of Trustees, thank you to everyone who makes this day possible, and best wishes for a meaningful day of workshops and virtual engagements with your colleagues. We look forward to the time when we can get together again, live and in person. Have an enjoyable day, And go state, go far.
Thank you, Scott. For the last 6 months, we've been focused on the impact of COVID-19. Our families and communities have stoically endured illness, loss of loved ones, unemployment, financial and emotional stress, hunger, and loneliness. Our faculty and staff have been challenged to deliver programs and services remotely while maintaining our academic excellence and a strong connection with students. And literally, for hours and hours, we've talked through the minutia of operational and academic decisions, from scheduling, grading and testing, to traffic flow through our buildings, signage and masks, and all the elements of social distancing, online learning, and remote working. I know that for many of you listening to me today, the last 6 months have been extremely challenging. As a country, we've also faced the realities of racial and social injustice. There have been times that I felt the world as we know it has just been turned upside down. Maybe this is true for some of you. I know it's true for some of our students. I want to say thank you to all of the faculty and staff from across the college who mobilized in spring to respond to the campus closures and who have worked tirelessly over the last 6 months to minimize the impact of COVID-19 on our students and college community. It truly takes a village to meet such dramatic and rapid changes. I was so impressed with how you all worked together, innovated, and supported each other and our students as the world shifted, and how readily you've adapted to our new normal. Your dedication and loyalty are truly appreciated. Thank you. Although I am keenly aware that COVID-19 is not yet out of the picture and won't be for many more months, I do want us to take an opportunity today to look forward. We are essential workers, and our students and community need us to deliver. In alignment with our reopening plan, we will continue to increase our on-campus presence to effectively provide education and support to all. Let's focus on our mission of educating all students, including those who may see themselves as underdogs, to enable them to succeed, and use our strategic plan and guided pathways framework to build a forward-looking and resilient institution that serves students, motivates employees, and can excel even in a volatile environment. If we just look up and notice and keep doing what we love, I believe our strengths will carry us through. As always, we face both challenges and opportunities. I want to discuss both with you this morning. First, I'll discuss one of the challenges we face right now, the resources to do our work, the budget. And then I'll discuss our many opportunities associated with the launch of our new strategic plan. As a result of COVID-19 and the reduction in sales tax revenues, it is projected that the state of Florida faces a $5.4 billion shortfall over the next 2 years. The governor is holding back 0.5% of the Florida State College's budget each month for a total of 6% over the course of the year to offset the shortfall in state revenue. If the state's budget picture improves, these monies will be restored at the end of the fiscal year. But this is not guaranteed and honestly not very likely. In a July 15th memo from the governor, we learned that this holdback may increase to 8.5% for this fiscal year and 10% for next fiscal year. While we had a good overall summer enrollment, up by 6%, we're down 10% overall for fall. In the late spring, when we were working on the budget for this year, we budgeted for a 3.3% increase in enrollment for 2020-2021 based on summer numbers and our historical experience. Typically, when there's an economic downturn, community college enrollment surges. But like a lot of things in this pandemic, things are not what we typically experience. Back in May, we thought our estimate was conservative and would leave room for error or potential state budget cuts. Instead, we're experiencing a significant enrollment decline this fall, particularly among new students. We are not alone. Across the country, colleges and universities are seeing enrollment declines. In the Florida college system, almost all colleges are reporting enrollment declines. The National Student Clearinghouse Research Center released a report last week that showed a 2.5% dip among undergraduate enrollment nationally. And community colleges fared the worst, with a 7.5% dip in enrollment nationally. Looking at the declines in FAFSA applications, the applications for financial aid, experts warn that low-income students are those who are missing in the greatest numbers this fall. We have seen different trends than expected. Existing students are returning, but our number of new students is dramatically reduced. This is a result of COVID uncertainty. 2020 high school graduates are delaying entering college, while many non-traditional students are dealing with uncertainties of work, their children's schooling, and any number of other challenges. Attending college has ended up at the bottom of their priority lists. Whether the enrollment decline will continue for the whole year is uncertain. It will be very difficult to make up for this decline in the fall because the fall enrollment typically feeds into our spring and summer enrollment. As a result of these trends and the likely state budget cuts, the college is anticipating a significant budget shortfall for this year and next year. The executive team and our departments are thinking about and working on this challenge daily, and with your help, we're pursuing various strategies and tactics to reduce costs and increase enrollment. And you all know how it works at Seminole State when we're faced with a challenge. When enrollment is down, we kick it into high gear. Everyone focuses. We put down or put aside our regular work to focus on enrollment. It's awesome. This fall, we pulled out all the stops, forming a rapid enrollment team, making calls, sending texts, creating new certificates, adding sections, streamlining processes, implementing targeted campaigns, leveraging our partnerships, and supporting students with CARES Act dollars aimed at workforce training. Teams worked long hours, guiding students through the admissions and advising process and mobilizing hundreds of volunteers from across the college to make thousands of calls. We captured every applicant or existing student we could, and I want to thank everyone across the college who contributed to this effort. There will be more opportunities in the coming months for faculty and staff to work together to support students and colleagues in admissions and enrollment, so please stay tuned for more details. The state's estimating conference in August projected a bounce in enrollment of maybe 2% in spring statewide, but we can't bank on this. It's contingent upon very many factors. So we're working on additional ways to streamline the student experience and enrollment processes in time for spring registration in November, and reaching out to new and returning students, as well as pursuing other opportunities. These include partnering with CareerSource Central Florida to offer Orange County residents who attend Seminole State financial support with tuition, fees, books, and instructional costs to complete their associate's or bachelor's degree in spring or to complete a certificate. We're working with Seminole County to provide financial support for students pursuing workforce certificates and certificates of continuing education courses to reskill or upskill using county CARES dollars. Offering our own one-semester rapid skill certificates that can be completed in one semester this spring in accounting specialist, associate project management, business specialist, emergency medical technician, and office specialist. This rapid skills certificate program is part of a system-wide rapid credentialing effort funded by the governor's CARES Act dollars. We've saved money on operations such as utilities, travel and conferences, as well as a few other areas over the past several months. An executive team evaluates every hiring decision weekly to determine if it's necessary to fill the position or if we can hold the position open. So now let's shift to opportunity. There has been a lot of discussion in publications and webinars that I've been engaged with lately about how COVID-19 is accelerating changes that were already happening. With the onset of the virus, changes that might have taken 5 years are now happening in just 5 months. One example often used is automation and technology disruption that will impact many jobs, maybe to the extent that those jobs will no longer exist. Higher education is often highlighted as an industry subject to this phenomenon as well. The need for fundamental and transformational change in colleges and universities was evident before COVID. Did you know that nationally, 80% of students entering community college declare transfer and completion of a bachelor's degree as their goal? But 6 years later, only 14% have achieved that goal. That is unacceptable. And we, like so many of our sister colleges, have made a commitment to change those statistics, to become a student-ready college where students would have a clear pathway to a fulfilling career and success with support every step along the way. We can no longer do the things the way we have done them. If we want different, better results for students, we have to do things differently. At the Strategic Summit back in November, we talked about the need for change, innovation, and ways we can redesign the student experience. We talked about embracing a bias toward action. Now the need for innovation, a student-centered approach, and action is more critical than ever. Completion of degrees matters to our students. It matters to their families, it matters for our community, and it matters to our economy. It's estimated that those with bachelor's degrees earn at least $1 million more in their lifetime than those without. Of the 7.1 million net jobs lost during the economic downturn that followed the financial crisis in 2007, nearly all were occupied by workers holding less than a bachelor's degree. But only 3.2 million of the jobs added during the recovery went to those without a bachelor's, and many of those went to those who held at least an associate's degree. Since the Great Recession, almost 75% of new jobs have gone to bachelor's degree holders, and the current pandemic has only exacerbated instability and job loss for those without degrees. 32% of layoffs in the first month of the pandemic were to those with a high school diploma or less, and 30% of those laid off had some college but no degree. Tiffany Mfune, author of The College Completion Glass, Half Full or Half Empty, found, the institutions making the greatest strides in student success always are endeavoring to explore new strategies, expand existing initiatives, and engage with colleagues and leaders in the field of higher education. The benefits of earning a college degree are undeniable. College graduates are less likely to be unemployed, more likely to have health benefits, and more likely to own a home. College graduates earn more money, live healthier lifestyles, have longer life expectancy, report greater satisfaction levels, and claim higher quality of life. She reports college education as the most proven, invaluable lifetime investment and the most reliable path to upward mobility and socioeconomic class reassignment. Getting our students successfully to the finish line is both urgent and important. Now, you all know that Seminole State is an awesome college. I'm not only president of the college, I'm president of our fan club. And others recognize our excellence too. Let me share some evidence. The college has been named to U.S. News and World Report's 2021 Best Colleges and Universities for Promoting Social Mobility. We were recognized by the Aspen Institute as one of the top 150 community colleges in the nation. We have a 90 to 95% job placement rate for our associate and science graduates. We confer thousands of degrees and certificates every year. Another 2 students were named as Jack Kent Cook Transfer Scholars, making our total 21. Our team of construction and interior design students won the National Design Build Institute of America's competition last year. We received a $621,000 grant from the National Science Foundation for scholarships in STEM. We won the Association for Community Colleges Trustees Southern Region Award for Equity. We were awarded the Insight into Diversity Higher Education Excellence and Diversity Award for the 7th year in a row. And just a couple of weeks ago, we won the National American Association of Community Colleges Advancing Diversity Award. Yes, that's the one that we've been a finalist for multiple times. We won. Just yesterday, we found out that we were awarded a Title III Strengthening Institutions grant of more than $2 million over 5 years. The title of the grant is Creating an Ecosystem of Student Success Utilizing Guided Pathways. And there's another big announcement coming out tomorrow that I'm not allowed to tell you yet. It's still embargoed, but it's really cool, so watch your email for the news. All of these achievements and accolades are amazing, and they can be really motivating and kind of validate all of our hard work. I was so excited when we won the AACC Advancing Diversity Award 2 weeks ago. I mean, excited. When my smile finally became unglued from my face, I thought to myself, you know, awards are really fun, but they don't actually impact our students' success. Students sitting in math class tomorrow with Professor Edstrom or Professor Ayton may be more proud to be a Seminole State student when they hear about these awards, but it's not going to help them pass the class. As many of you have already heard, the executive team and board of trustees and I have just finished reading Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game, recommended by Chair Howitt. It's a good read, particularly at this moment in our history. The core concept is that many businesses and organizations approach their work with a finite mindset, as if they were playing a finite game that can be won. In a finite game like baseball or football, there's a beginning and an end, and when it's all over, we know who won. At the end of the season, we know which team is considered the best, number one, like our women's golf team. Businesses and organizations that approach their work as a finite game do not succeed in the long term. Kodak and Blockbuster are 2 examples. Those who operate with an infinite mindset excel, like Apple, Disney, and Patagonia. Seminole State is not playing a finite game. We're playing an infinite game. There's no finish line or any such thing as winning. In an infinite game, the primary objective is to keep playing, to perpetuate the game. The true value of an organization is measured by the desire others have to contribute to that organization's ability to keep succeeding, not just during the time they're there, but well beyond their own tenure. And the motivator for engaging in the game is a just cause like student success, not fame or fortune. We want Seminole State to facilitate the success of our students today, 10 years from now, and 100 years from now. And we want to leave this college better than we found it. Sinek also points out that those organizations who are successful at managing the nature of the infinite game are those in which their people trust one another and their leaders. They're also prepared for disruptions and the unpredictable, and use those instances to be transformed and become better than they were before the disruption occurred. Blockbuster did not deal as effectively or creatively with the advent of streaming technology as Netflix did. So, we have certainly experienced disruption. How are we going to respond? As you know, we've been working on a new strategic plan that will take us to 2025, and you still have the opportunity to give feedback, so please do so. Some of our top goals include improving graduation rates and accelerating student progress to credential completion, to close the gap in achievement rates for minority and traditionally underserved students, and to focus on high rates of career placement and improving rates of baccalaureate transition. Ultimately, I think the development of the strategic plan engenders innovative thinking and creativity. The process really gets my mind churning. I've been asking myself a lot of questions. Here are a few of them. What if we, Seminole State, as high achieving as we are, could do even more for our students? What if students had clear academic pathways to help them reach their academic and career goals effectively and efficiently? What if we were able to reduce the average time it takes a student to complete his or her degree, getting them out into the workforce at a higher salary sooner, and reducing, as a result, the overall cost of their education? What would we have to do to change to be the best institution for part-time students? What if Seminole State were considered an education destination by students and their families? What if it were easy, like Amazon easy, for students to enroll and onboard at Seminole State? What if a student's experience here started with career assessment and development to direct their course taking? What if students' academic programs, even AA students, were contextualized in their career interests? What if they were able to take a course in that area of interest in their very first semester? What if we all work together to develop and communicate a clear vision for equitable student access and success at Seminole State, and stakeholders throughout the college and the community understood and shared and helped us realize that vision? What if our incredible faculty created strategies for improving teaching and learning at scale? What if most students successfully completed their English and math courses in their first year? What if we transformed what are now gatekeeper courses into gateway courses or launching pads? What do we need to do as a college to ensure that Seminole State is a transformational experience for our students rather than a transactional one? What if every student felt like a member of an academic community? How might that impact their sense of belonging, engagement, their experiences? How can we use technology as a student success tool? What have we learned from the First Gen program and Hope Scholars and our most successful instructional programs that we can leverage for all students? What if we came together and designed the ideal student experience at Seminole State? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would be the most critical elements? And what would we invest in? I think we have pretty clear ideas of what success looks like for students, but what does success look like for Seminole State? How will we know we're succeeding? What are the milestones that will serve as evidence of our success? As players in the infinite game, we will never be done. We can never stop innovating and changing and improving. This year, we pivoted in 1 week to move almost all classes remotely or online, set up virtual advising, tutoring, and student services, and began to streamline our processes to improve enrollment. Much of this has involved manual processing, workarounds, long hours, moving people into new roles, and learning new skills. If it has done anything, the pandemic has shown us that a simple moment can change us. It has brought us closer together and shown us our capacity to collaborate and act quickly. It's also shown us that there's an urgent need to reskill and upskill those in society whose opportunities are limited by their lack of higher education and qualifications. We have shown our ability to develop elegant solutions to complex problems and put them into practice. This is the energy and capacity that we need to harness to drive Seminole State forward, to become stronger as a college and help our students reach their educational goals. I recently had the opportunity to interview students from a college in another state. This is a highly successful college that is engaged in transformational change to benefit students. One of the students I interviewed said to me, "They just want us to win so bad." They referred to the faculty and staff at the college, and us referred to the students. They just want us to win so bad. He and the other students feel a palpable sense of urgency and commitment from all employees to help students succeed and reach their goals. I want to strive to make sure every one of our students would say something like that about us. So I have one more question that I've been pondering and want to share with you. Earlier, I described the incredible work on enrollment for this fall. In a matter of weeks, we were able to move from a deficit of more than 20% to 10%. And our conversion of applicant to student in the month of August was 60%, which is well above anything we've seen at Seminole State before and well above national benchmarks for state and community colleges. This involved enrollment services, advising, institutional research, academic affairs, marketing, and many more who were redeployed to these efforts. Everyone took a personal stake in it and made it happen. It was amazing. So here's my question. What if we exercised that same focus, determination, and hard work, accepting nothing but a positive outcome to achieving equitable educational outcomes for all of our students and close those persistent gaps you all see in program review? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would it take? What would each of us commit to doing? And what would be our markers of success? I'm heartened by the fact that so many of you are committed to ensuring that Seminole State will be a catalyst for change in closing gaps in outcomes and combating racial and social injustice. I know that many of you are striving to increase your understanding of and expressing an interest in the need for intentional inclusion and equity in our community and ensuring that all students can rise up, to quote our opening song. This year, Seminole State was officially recognized as a Hispanic serving institution because more than 25% of our enrolled students are Hispanic. We have 18% African American students. If we could bring the same intensity and focus we adopted for fall enrollment to serving these students, imagine what we could achieve. Part of our efforts to close disparities in outcomes is the adoption of the Guided Pathways Framework, which has shown great promise nationally. Mark Morgan, Scott Freeman, and a diverse panel will discuss that after this session. Part of our effort is also in integrating this fervor, this passion for all student success into our strategic plan for the next 5 years. These two efforts are not exclusive, but one and the same. Supporting and enabling Hispanic, African American, Asian American, Native American, and those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds to achieve success in college and in post-college outcomes is our mission. And every single one of us plays a role in achieving this goal, which is central to our strategic plan. You might recall last year at Convocation, Dr. Frank Harris gave us some strategies that we could all integrate into our daily work. Those strategies, based on research, are convey unconditional positive regard for all students, build authentic relationships with students, learn students' academic strengths, interests, and significant past experiences in education, humanize yourself, assess students' authentic interests in majors, academic programs, and careers, conclude counseling and advising sessions with a check for clarity and next steps. Employ proactive and intrusive support practices. And engage in equity-minded professional learning experiences. At my former institution, there was a parking officer who was beloved by students. Yes, a parking officer who gave out parking tickets. As students walked from that parking lot to class, he would ask them about their day, inquire about what they are studying, wish them luck for tests, and encourage them to stick to their plans. I often parked in that same parking lot, and I would hear him yelling after students as they walked by, "You got this, you'll ace that test, no problems, no worries." And I would bet that he can be credited with many more successful graduations than I could be. You may feel like you don't know what you can do in your own work to address racial inequity, but I encourage you to engage in the conversation with your colleagues and with students and to be a force for positive change. I want to thank the members of the Joint Action Committee on Race and Social Justice who've been working together since June for their leadership, commitment, hard work, and great ideas. They are Angel Nader, Arlene Gonzalez, Babacar Job, Barbara Coleman Foster, Janet Balanoff, Johnny Craig, Debbie Mead, Karen Kaufman, Tracy Harbin, May Ashby, Kate Henry, Marcus Williams, Scott Freeman, and Vanessa Wynn, and our 4 SGA presidents for this year, Erica Intriago, Grant Kepke, Kayla Brown, and Josiah Lewis. I encourage you to watch your email for upcoming events. The virtual workshops and forums held thus far have been wonderful, and I've really enjoyed participating. Our First Steps Action Plan is published on the website of the Office for Equity and Diversity. One of the goals for the group this fall was to establish a standing committee on equity. I believe that the new procedure is now out for comment by the college community. Please watch for opportunities to join that committee if you're interested. Our hope is that the department will develop its own plan for action with the support of the new Equity Committee. Convocation is a time for reflection and motivation. It's also a time for celebration for individuals, departments, and the college. I would like to recognize a few more reasons to celebrate. At the Academic Affairs Welcome Back, we celebrated the endowed teaching chairs, the Ken Sylvester Award honorees, and distinguished professors, as well as those faculty who had earned continuing contracts and doctoral degrees. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the new faculty and staff who have joined us since the end of the 2019-2020 academic year. We would usually have you stand and be recognized right now, but it's not possible this year, so we will feature your names on a slide that you can see online just at the conclusion of all of my remarks. I would like to thank all of you newbies for joining the college and wish you a successful and prosperous career with us. Congratulations to you all. This past year, the foundation contributed over $2.92 million in support to the college to fund scholarships, academic equipment, endowed teaching chairs, and cash awards like the Career Service and Pathfinder Awards. I'd also like to thank our faculty and staff who step up to be part of our Blue and Gold employee giving and rally and raise programs. Your support contributes to the overall fundraising success of the college, so keep it up. The Career Service Excellence and Pathfinder Awards are presented annually to individuals and departments who've been nominated by their peers for demonstrating initiative, creativity, and contributions above and beyond their job responsibilities. Recipients are selected each year by a diverse committee of employees from across the college. These award recipients embody the college's core values, and their exemplary efforts make a difference to students, staff, and the college. The awards are funded by the Foundation for Seminole State College and are made possible by the generous donations of our faculty, staff, alumni, and friends. The 2 full-time Career Service Excellence Award recipients are presented with an award of $1,250 each, and the part-time Career Service Excellence recipient is presented with a $750 award. This year, it has been particularly difficult to select individual and departmental award winners. So many people stepped up and exemplified our core values. While there can only be a limited number of winners, my thanks and congratulations go to many more. If you are selected as a winner, we will be setting up appointments in the next 2 to 3 weeks so I can award your trophy personally. So here we go. Our first full-time Career Service Excellent Award goes to Wayne Ambrose, receiving clerk. An excerpt from the nomination form reads, Wayne is an integral part of the college for 29 years. If you have ever ordered anything, you have had the pleasure of dealing with Wayne. He always has a smile on his face and is the epitome of what a Seminole State employee should be: helpful, dedicated, honest, and fair. Even throughout this pandemic, he's been working on campus nearly every day, ensuring that the college's mail and receiving operations continue uninterrupted. His leadership, knowledge, and advice are always welcome, and his knowledge of the campuses, buildings, rooms, and employees is second to none. Congratulations, Wayne Ambrose. Our second full-time Career Service Excellence Award goes to Julie Knott, Office Supervisor, Mathematics. Excerpts from her nomination form reads, Julie is my other hand, always there when needed, gets her work done, and anticipates needs before being asked. Julie is the go-to person for our department along with others at the college. Her vast information and experience have been the guide along a wide variety of subjects. She has assisted and trained other office supervisors. She is wonderful with students, always answering phone calls with positivity, listening to concerns, and resolving issues, often outside of the department's control. Julie volunteered to make calls to students to remind them to pay for their classes and assisted e-learning with making calls to students to inform them how to access their classes in Canvas. We are a great team, and our department is definitely lucky and blessed to have her working with us. Congratulations, Julie Knott. And our part-time Career Service Excellence Award goes to Lauren Thompson, ASC Instructional Support Specialist. An excerpt from her nomination form reads, Lauren is a tremendous asset to the Academic Success Center and the entire Seminole State College student body. Lauren is dedicated to helping our diverse population learn various math concepts, always ensuring that students walk away from the ASC in better shape than when they arrived. Lauren can be credited with leading many students to resources and building relationships with the math faculty to make them aware of our services and foster a spirit of collaboration. During the college's sudden shift to remote learning during the spring 2020 term, Lauren was instrumental in moving our face-to-face tutoring services to Zoom and found ways to efficiently manage the flow of students into our drop-in tutoring virtual meeting rooms while ensuring that all questions are addressed. She represents the Oviedo Academic Success Center very well. Congratulations, Lauren Thompson. Now let's move on to the Pathfinder Awards. We'll start with the individual Pathfinder Awards. This year we have 3 individual awards, which include a $2,000 cash award provided by the foundation. These awards are open to all full-time faculty and staff who've been at the college for at least 3 years. This year, the first individual Pathfinder Award goes to Brittany Ressman, Senior Analyst, Decision Support Systems. An excerpt from the nomination form reads, Brittany is always responsive and focused on constituents throughout the college, and this past year was exceptional. Brittany managed more than 100 student and employee surveys used to measure college-wide goals, objectives, student feedback, and program performance. She worked with constituents from nearly every department to streamline and eliminate instruments that duplicate efforts. Brittany led a rapid response team for summer and fall 2020, organizing student contact lists and resources to promote student enrollments during the unexpected enrollment downturn. She expanded her abilities in using SAS visual analytics and generated more than 80 individualized presentations and documents used for program reviews for every academic course at Seminole State to save administrators, program managers, faculty, and IER team members hours of research and analysis time. Brittany constantly volunteers for college-wide initiatives, serving on the curriculum committee and supporting welcome back activities, among others. Congratulations, Brittany Ressman. Our second individual Pathfinder Award goes to Michael McCurdy, instructional designer. Excerpts from the nomination forms read, in 1 week, the entire college moved to online learning in March. This was extremely distressing for many faculty who had not worked in an online environment. Michael McCurdy was patient and kind, answering questions and walking them through everything. He takes time to listen. He is truly interested in our students and providing the best experience to them through the faculty. We have many technical hiccups, and Michael shines with his strong ability, patience, and skills to solve not just common issues, but complicated ones as well. Michael thought about music recording needs even before the music faculty was ready to think about plans for sharing music, developing a foundation grant, which is now the core of the discipline's plans for fall. We couldn't have done it without Michael and are very grateful. Congratulations, Michael McCurdy. And our third and final individual Pathfinder Award goes to Melina Abreu, Assistant Director, Student Financial Programs. Excerpts from the nomination forms reads, 5 lines are not enough to cover everything Melina does in one day. She is awesome and really goes above and beyond to make sure her staff is fully trained, understands their tasks, and most importantly, what impact they make. Melina is the most humble and hardworking person I know, and she cares so much for students. With her efforts working with CTS and being willing to learn much about PeopleSoft, we have made headway on transfer monitoring as well as huge improvements in our Pell and direct loan processing, which results in SSC being able to get more aid out to students more quickly. She is truly a great leader and hard worker. Congratulations, Melina Abreu. The Department Pathfinder Award includes a $2,000 award and is given to a department that shows exemplary leadership and helps further the mission and goals of our college with students, other departments, and the community in true Pathfinder tradition. This year, the Department Pathfinder Award goes to e-learning. Excerpts from the nomination forms read, the people who work in this department are amazing, each and every one of them. Last March, when our world turned upside down, e-learning accepted the challenge to keep the college open when face-to-face classes ceased. Many faculty had never done online learning, and e-learning quickly developed classes and individual appointments to help these faculty convert to online formats. In addition to the multiple classes, they met with departments and individuals to further help with course conversions. E-learning also worked with CTS, staff, and faculty to assure that students had the tools and resources to be successful in their new class formats. The employees in e-learning are able to find creative solutions to complex problems and issues to meet the college's strategic goal of a top quality educational experience for our students. We are so fortunate to work with people that will do anything to assure our students get an outstanding education. Thank you, e-learning. Keep doing a great job for our students. So congratulations to e-learning. And congratulations once again to all of our award recipients. Thank you to the selection committees for your hard work to diligently review and select these deserving employees. And a thank you to all of you for taking the time to nominate your fellow employees. Those of you who have been here for several years know that we typically present a Community Pathfinder Award at today's ceremony as well. This recognizes those who continually strive to make a difference for Seminole State College and its students, faculty, and staff. This year, the winners of the Community Pathfinder Award are two organizations that have been on the front lines of the pandemic and who have worked round the clock for the past 6 months to keep the college and our community informed, advised, and supported, from daily briefings to advising us on our reopening plans and managing and responding to cases. This year's winners are the Seminole County Office of Emergency Management and the Florida Department of Health. A few days ago, I had the honor of presenting the award to Donna Walsh, Seminole County's health officer, and to Alan Harris, Seminole County's emergency manager, an event we captured on video. During Convocation Day, the college takes the opportunity to recognize individuals and departments for their outstanding innovation and dedicated service with what we call Pathfinder Awards. We also recognize an organization that continually strives to make a difference for Seminole State College, its students, faculty, and staff with a Community Pathfinder Award. So this year's winners are the Seminole County Office of Emergency Management and the Florida Department of Health for Seminole County.
On behalf of the Office of Emergency Management, thank you very much. It's all of you. It's the team coming together, and I can't thank you all enough for your hard work and dedication. It's the team outside of this room, too. The team at Seminole State College that's helped us with the testing sites, helped us no matter what we asked. You all have been willing to support us at multiple campuses, so we certainly appreciate that. And really, I just can't thank this team enough, and I can't thank you all at Seminole State College enough for your partnership and support, so thank you.
Thank you so much for you and your team. Dr. Lorenz, Miguel, and others have been just wonderful. We know we can pick up the phone, as you mentioned. It's the 7-day operation, 24/7, and I know I can pick up the phone when I'm in the office at 10 o'clock at night and still get Miguel on the phone. So really appreciate the partnership and support.
Congratulations to all of our award recipients, and let's give all of the departments and individuals who worked on pivoting to remote learning in the spring and the fall reopening another round of applause. So I hope you will all tune in to the live stream at 11 a.m., just about 15 minutes, for the next session, which is for all faculty and staff. It focuses on the guided pathways and increasing equity and closing equity gaps for our students. Dr. Mark Morgan will be presenting, and there will be a panel of your peers facilitated by Dr. Scott Freeman. Fun sessions were scheduled during the second half of the lunch break. I hope you take advantage of connecting with some of your colleagues on those Zoom sessions. Everyone, please attend the workshops you registered for this afternoon, focusing on personal and professional growth and network with each other. We've planned plenty of breaks so that you can get up and stretch or get a snack or beverage. Speaking of stretching, I hope you've signed up for one of the 3 p.m. sessions, which will focus on keeping you physically healthy during these days of working remotely. The end of the day brings time for you to connect with your colleagues for department meetings or training. Wherever you are watching today's State of the College, thank you for your passion, dedication, enthusiasm, and for everything you contribute to the college and to our students. Enjoy your day, and go State, go far.
And Dr. Morgan, you are clear to go.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us with Convocation, and thank you for joining me for this session. As you heard Dr. Lorenz describe in her keynote address, Guided Pathways is an initiative we're working on, and we wanted to share some more information about what are Guided Pathways and what Seminole State currently doing around this topic. So that's specifically what I want to share with you this morning. What are student guided pathways? What do we mean by that? Why are they important? What are pathway components? What are the elements that go into pathways? And where can I learn more? And I want to begin by saying this is not necessarily a new topic, and it's not something that you either are a pathway college or you're not. It's really a point of evolution. Where are you kind of in the pathways development guidance? And so I'll share some research and some other insights as to what we mean by pathways and what we're currently doing at our college. Student-guided pathways are really an integrated college-wide approach to student success. Now that's just a phrase, but you heard Dr. Lorenz explain this in a little more detail. It's where everybody at the college, from the officer in the parking lot, to faculty members, to advisors, to student affairs officers, everybody really is aligned and taking a strong interest in helping students, and students understand where they are in their pathway toward their credential and their career. In other words, it takes out a lot of the guesswork that we now leave to students in helping them understand why they are on their pathway, where that pathway is leading, how long it's going to take, and some other details. And specifically, it's an intentional, clear, and set of structured experiences that guide students from entry, from the point they apply to the college, all the way to their credentials and their career. And they're very deliberate, conscious things done at the college to help students progress along their path. I think we've all been here. Most college students experiences, they come in with a lot of questions. You know, what major is appropriate for me? How long is this going to take me? Is this the right career for me? What are the courses I'm going to need to take? All those questions. And what a pathway does is basically take away those questions, or helps the student answer those questions right up front, so that as a student begins their college experience, they have assurance that they are on a pathway that fits them, it makes sense to them in terms of their strengths and their personal aspirations. They have a clear sense of direction of how long this is going to take, what are the resources, the cost it's going to take, or what are the career pathways that are available out there as they earn this credential, and what are the opportunities that are going to basically be fulfilling for their lifetime. And as you heard Dr. Lorenz describe, pathways are important because they better serve students, they better serve the institution, and they better serve the community and our partners. And we know these are all important elements of our strategic plan. They're important to us, and they're important to our students and everybody around us. Because the first thing it does is it helps students reduce the cost and time to credential. We know that Seminole State is one of the leading institutions in the Florida college system. We actually help about 50% of our students earn a credential every year. Our graduation rate college-wide is about 50%. And that's good news. The bad news of all that is there's 50% of our students who don't earn a credential in any given year. And 50% just isn't good enough in this marketplace, in this environment, in the communities that we serve. So we have to find ways to help students reduce that cost, avoid debt, and earn that credential in a timely manner. Because we've also seen, while we're very good at what we do, we're also seeing it's taking the student a bit longer to earn a credential than I think what they want and what we would want. And we want to promote retention and credential completion. That, again, that 50% pass rate or 50% completion rate is really not good enough. We need to figure out and start doing different ways, because we're getting those results consistently. It helps students eliminate unnecessary courses, obviously, which cuts down their cost and the time to credential, and they're not wondering why they are taking certain courses along their pathway. And then significantly, it strengthens the alignments with our workforce partners. One of our strengths college-wide is that we don't have a whole lot of programs that lead nowhere. All of our programs lead to good paying jobs directly tied to needs within our community. And it helps us reinforce within our partners the fact that we are producing graduates that will succeed in the workplace. We know that works from our 95% completion rate. But Pathways helps us in further strengthening that and making sure that our programs stay relevant and our students understand why we offer what we do. And most of all, it supports a stronger community and a way of life. You heard Dr. Lorenz describe some of these specifics. That students who earn a baccalaureate degree, even an associate degree, have an overall lifetime earning $1 million greater than a high school graduate. They are healthier in the community. They pay taxes. They vote more often. All these things go into building a stronger quality of life within our local community, realizing the importance of having a credential from the college. Here are some of the components that go into guided pathways. And again, it's not a matter of we're not doing any of this. We are. We're simply saying we need to rethink some of these components, help the pieces fit together a little more strongly, shuffle some things that get students engaged kind of on the front end with their program, helping them understand the pathway and the time it takes to completion. So we're really rethinking and reworking all these components that already exist at the college. And the first thing begins with help in selecting a plan. Having more discussions with students up front about, well, what is an appropriate career? What do we offer here at the college that would be a good fit for them and their career aspirations, where they really want to live out their life in serving our community. And then a clear pathway and timeline that we're helping students understand up front. If given this pathway, here's how long this is going to take. Here's how much this is going to cost you. Here's the sequence of courses you're going to take, and here's why these courses are important. And then resources for a successful start. We know that most of our students struggle in the very first term and the very first year at our college. We want to make sure that they get a good start. We're placing them in courses that are meaningful, that give them a little more exposure to the career that they've selected, and the opportunity to realign and rethink, is this a good fit, or do I need to change things as I begin? And that students can see the aligned sequence with meaningful courses, and they understand why each of those courses is important and how they build on each other toward graduation. Now, we also have within our systems proactive support, alerts, and resources. We're better able to spot students who falter on the path, who step off a path, who they're intending to stop out, because we also see a lot of students at Seminole State stop out and restart their programs in a year or two. So we want to eliminate that. We really want to help students progress fairly quickly to the credential. And we want to provide training to make sure that everybody involved in supporting students, faculty members, their advisors, the students' advisors, the students themselves, student support specialists, everybody is trained in the roles in how they can serve in strengthening and implementing these pathways. From the research, and I'll share at the end where you can go to find additional information from research sources, there are 4 essential pathway practices that need to be strong. There are strong pillars within the college. And so this is what we're working on. That we define clear and explicit pathways for students. Students don't wonder, what course sequence should I be taking? They know. And they know what's coming up next, and they understand where they are along their pathway. Help for students to select the appropriate pathway from the very beginning. They're clear on their career goals and understand where that pathway is going to lead them. Resources to help the students stay on path. So we're able to spot students who misstep or thinking about taking courses that really don't fit, or that are thinking about changing their career. And we can help them proactively. And assurance that students are learning and progressing. Students should wonder, why am I taking this course, or am I learning anything from this? They know that they are, and we know that they are, and that all those important outcomes fit with their career plans and with our partners. Now, taking each of these pillars a little more in depth, clear and explicit paths provide students program paths that show the steps and timelines to completion and career. We're starting off on a very good leg here because we have educational plans defined for every one of the credentials we offer at Seminole State. But we want to revisit those to make sure that they really are sequenced out, that they fit appropriately, and that they are clear to students, and we provide tools and resources to help students see where they are progressing on their path. And if students are interested in baccalaureate degrees, that they see the transfer pathways of where their program, associate program, will take them, and the timeline is going to take them to earn the full baccalaureate. Help for students to select the appropriate pathway. As Dr. Lorenz described, career counseling right up front, guidance for potential careers, and work with our K-12 partners to help students be college ready and have a sense of what path might be appropriate for them. And then we have further discussions and help them get off to a good start. And then robust tools right up front to help students match their strengths and interests in potential programs and careers. And then opportunities to explore careers through internships, guest speakers, other interactions with the college to help them see what these, how their experiences will lead to successful careers. And then another pillar to help resources to help students stay on path, strong advising and support, steady and continual interaction with their advisors, and then interaction with advisors and other people across the college, faculty members, people across student affairs, tutoring, other resources that we already have available, making students aware of, here are resources that you might need right now, and here's how to reach out. So that continual connection that we need with students. Assurance that students know the requirements and plans that Dr. Lorenz mentioned at the end of their interactions with advisors. There's a checkpoint to make sure students are aware of where they are and what the next steps are. And then support with technology. We're implementing some systems now that will strengthen our technology and our interaction that we have with students so we can proactively intervene when needed. And then alignments between the academic and student support experiences. Basically, everything they do with Seminole State gives them assurance that they're on the right path. And then we have assurance that students, and they have assurance that students are learning and progressing. The learning outcomes that are aligned with their careers and the further education. And students know that they are learning. Projects that are integrated with their coursework, with their extracurricular activities, applied learning experiences, giving them further assurance and information about their career. And then ongoing assessments and feedback so they know what they're learning, and so do we. So some things we're doing across the college, and you'll be hearing more about this because we want everybody to be part of this as we continue, is the first thing we're doing is, as we're updating our strategic plan, we're declaring the intent to strengthen our guided pathway practices. We've done assessments around this already. We know there are some things we already have in place that we're working on and strengthening, and other things that we need to realign, shuffle, rethink, figure out how this really fits in strengthening our pathways. And in part in doing that is we're working with 10 colleges in what's called the Florida Pathways Institute. It's an initiative sponsored by the Florida College System that we're working with 10 other colleges in the Florida system to apply research, findings, expertise, lessons learned in strengthening our pathways. And that's been a valuable experience so far. We're really just getting started with that. You're going to be hearing more about a system called Navigate. And this is a commercial product that we bought. We're integrating and setting it up right now to help students stay on path. and they can see where they are on the path. We can see where they are on the path, and we can also see when they're getting off their path and work with them to help them stay on path. We're looking at our student onboarding processes to strengthen that front end and help students as they apply and come in that very first term to make sure that they are on the correct path. We're revisiting our student first year experience to help students accelerate their progress and gain more momentum toward a credential. This is a weakness within our college, that students are not getting off on the right foot and building enough momentum in their first term and their first year to get to credential completion. We want to revisit that. And we're updating our student learning outcomes and assessments. There's great work going on here. I think you'll be excited as we roll out the update to our student learning outcomes. And then assessments embedded all throughout the college, assuring students that they're learning, they're growing. Addressing gaps in student achievement among student groups. We see across the college, we have some programs where there are no achievement gaps between students of race, gender, Pell Grant or not, and yet other programs where there are gaps. So we need to incorporate all those lessons learned to make sure that all students are succeeding, all students are progressing where we want them to go. And then we're expanding shared governance practices because we want you to be involved in helping us grow the new Seminole State. All right, we didn't have time for questions. Here's a slide on research that you are welcome to go check. If you just go into any one of these websites, type in guided pathways, you'll get a host of information about this. And we'll be sharing more as we roll out our own initiatives, as we keep going down this pathway to strengthen our own pathways. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to give it back to Michael McCurdy because you're going to be hearing from the equity panel on some other initiatives that we have in strengthening this and other parts of our institution. Thanks, and enjoy your convocation.
Hello, everyone. So as Dr. Freeman rounds out, we're going to bring in the panel. And let me just let them in from the waiting room. Dr. Valentino's let them all in. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Scott Freeman. And Dr. Freeman is now a co-host, and he'll have the panel. And if we can get, I don't think we'll need the shared screen anymore, so I'm going to stop Dr. Morgan's share screen. Great. And Dr. Freeman, you are good to go, sir.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Just let me get set up. I apologize.
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody on board? Okay. Good morning. I can only see the people in the room, so my expectations is that this is working and everybody can hear me outside this room. So let me say good morning again. I'm grateful to be here with all of you this morning into this afternoon. I'm mindful to start by saying this. For those of us who were here last year during convocation, take a moment and remember where you were, what you were doing, how it was. Now, take a moment and think of where we are now, or actually feel where we are now. It is quite different, isn't it? So I just want to be mindful in that, in recognizing that, and in doing this. But I feel grateful to be here, to be trusted to have this type of conversation with you this morning. So it seems to me like a likely connection to what Dr. Morgan was just speaking about with guided pathways would be to have, or at least to start, a conversation regarding equity. And I'd like to do that with you this morning. With that said, before we begin, I just want to take a moment and set up some of the expectations of this dialogue. We will not finish this. This is a starting point, and this will continue ongoing in the days, the weeks, and the months that follow, from semester to semester. So I'm mindful of that, and I hope you are too. With a conversation like this, sometimes it's a little bit messy and clumsy, and I invite that. I say that in a positive way, because that's how things can get out authentically, and I want that to happen, at least in this conversation. So I hope you will be respectful of that and cognizant of that. One of the things as I ask these questions, I want to make sure also that it's not an indictment on any part of a person or a part of the college. I just want to make sure that that's clear and understood, that we're having conversations of things we're doing well, and perhaps things maybe we're not doing so well. So I want to make sure that that's out there for us, all of us, to think about as well. So with that said, I'm going to start in a second. I'm going to invite a healthy, safe, appropriate, and professional discussion. So I'm going to ask the first question. My esteemed panel is with us, your colleagues. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, if that's okay, for all of you. I think that would be the best bet in doing so. So why don't we take a moment and introduce yourselves, and then I'll ask the questions in the time allotted.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Williams, and I represent the Advising Counseling Team as well as Career Service Council. I am a Student Retention and Completion Specialist. I've been here for almost 10 years now. Thank you.
Adam, why don't you go next? I'm just going to call on you, make it easy here.
Caught me off guard. I wasn't ready yet. Dr. Adam Stark, Professor Information Technology, and I'm also representing the information technology field and our program as well. I've been here 5 years, so compared to Marcus, I feel like a newbie.
Thank you. Maya?
Hi, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. I'm a biology professor here at Seminole State. I've been here 11 years.
Thank you. By the way, my apologies for being informal. I'm just going to call you by your first names, if that's okay. Cheryl?
This is Cheryl Sherlock, adult high school faculty. I've been here approximately a little over 20 years.
Nancy?
Hi, I'm Nancy Gasper. I'm the Dean of Nursing. I'm representing a limited access program today. I've been at the college for 5 years, and thank you for having me.
Deborah?
Hi, I'm Dr. Debbie Barr. I'm in the biology department, professor there. I'm going into my 9th year of teaching, and I'm happy to be here today.
Great. And Miguel?
Miguel Sierra, Director of Safety and Security, and I've been with the college for going on 10 months.
Great. Thank you for all those introductions. So I'm going to dive into the first question, and we will engage in a healthy, spirited dialogue about equity. So what I will do is I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to have the first question just open for everybody. I want you to chime in as needed, and I'll just hopefully facilitate effectively and appropriately and guide you through this. So the first question to the panel. What do you perceive as the greatest need regarding Seminole State's approach to equity? Don't all chime in at once because...
I'll throw something out there.
Debbie, I appreciate that.
I think, in general, one of the greatest needs that we as a college, but as communities and a nation, is to raise awareness, because that's where it all starts. And so awareness and education is going to be really the cornerstone of moving forward with this. And for me personally, especially in, the year 2020, It's been a year of huge awakening on many levels. And I would say, you know, we have a great start here with the workshops that Barbara at FTCL has done, and discussion sessions, and Janet with Equity and Diversity. It's been an explosion of information that has raised awareness for me personally. And I've just, you know, can't say how important that is. And as an academic institution where education is what we do, this is a great place to start. And I feel like we're on that path right now, full speed.
Does anybody else feel that there's a need regarding our approach? Would like to chime in?
Sure. I would like to add that, and maybe this is just a more overarching statement for all of us, but especially inside this little bubble, is to, and I think the word would be grace, to give each other a little bit of grace, because we're all coming at this from different perspectives. I mean, Scott, you started it with a spirited and lively but respectful debate. But there has to be that safety and that willingness to allow someone to ask the question. As you first stated the question, and we all hesitated a little bit. Now, obviously, we warm up a little bit, but we grant each other that grace to be able to ask the question, or to be able to say what you're feeling and thinking, and then to be able to talk about it.
I'd like to echo that, just to kind of chime in, if I can, for a moment, and using that word grace. It's so important in this day and age, especially, to make sure that we're practicing that, even while having very challenging and difficult conversations about topics like this. Would anybody else like to share other input or tidbits? Miguel? And then Maya.
What goes along with grace is the need to listen. I think that's very important. A lot of times people will come into this discussion, this topic, and they'll lack that ability to hear and listen to what someone is saying. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with grace, is that ability to take a step back from whatever perspective you're coming from and listen so that you can hear what someone's actually saying.
Yeah. Maya, then Marcus.
I think one of the greatest needs is increase of expectation. Many times our students face, especially in context of diversity and equity, different levels of expectations for themselves. And when they come to different levels of educational institutions, they're faced with also levels of expectations. I think at the level of the student and the faculty and staff, I think we need to raise our one of our greatest needs is to raise our expectations for our students.
Raising expectations, thank you. Marcus, what would you like to add?
The only added piece I want to say to that with grace and also with listening, you also do need a diverse background of individuals who are involved in the conversation. So having people at the table who may look a lot like you is not going to be very helpful to the conversation to advance it to where it needs to be. So what I think was very important in a lot of the conversations I've had over the summer was that the conversations were diverse, as well as the people who were involved in that. So I think considering that, making sure you're listening to those different voices is very much important, but also making sure the people represented in that communication piece is very vital to progressing from where it needs to be at this point.
Thanks for adding that. Well said. Go ahead.
I think going along with that grace piece and being willing to have the conversation is to know that we can make mistakes. We can be wrong. We can say the wrong thing. It's okay. We're all in this together, and to be able to make a mistake and move forward and learn from that, I think, is key to having these difficult conversations.
You know, Nancy, that was one of the things I was mindful of just introducing, just to echo that for a moment, is the clumsiness. That's what I was alluding to, is that it's okay to make some mistakes in having these conversations, as long as we learn from them things, if that's what I'm hearing you say.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's okay to be awkward and to feel a little unsure.
Good. So let's all be awkward now together. Right.
Also, I believe we have to look at empathy as we're discussing and working with one another, and also including our students, as well as maybe other different departments coming in together to see how we can work together to bring our students to the next step.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody have anything to add? I'm going to move on to the next question, if we've kind of encapsulated this part at least. And I think all of you added some substantive features to the needs regarding equity. So the second question, and again, just chime in as we'll just have a conversation for everybody to watch. In what ways does the college ensure equity in the recruitment, application, and onboarding process? A challenging conversation, question rather. I think it's a challenging question.
Well, I can only go based on my experience.
Absolutely.
And I think in terms of my department, I feel like there's diverse search committees. I think that's one of the ways you have diverse search committees. I've been on many. I've also chaired a search committee. So I think when you have if in the beginning points, there's a level of diversity that can also help.
Okay, thanks. What are some other thoughts on this particular topic and area?
I think providing resources to all departments as equally as possible. I know that's not easy to look at, but we're trying to figure out some of the resources that could be available to other departments or shared resources.
Shared resources?
I think Marcus and Maya both hit it well, as the groups that are doing the work need to have different viewpoints. When I was doing IT hiring and working in information technology, the stereotype in IT is it's a bunch of nerdy looking white guys sitting around trying to fix a problem. You're not going to get a lot of diversity of answers if the people don't come from different backgrounds and have different experiences. You're going to get the same answers and not give very creative solutions. So if you can bring people that not only look different, have different backgrounds, different upbringings, different experiences just in their daily life, you're going to get a diversity of solutions to the problem. And overall, that's going to make your solution better.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're aiming for, I'm imagining. Marcus, did you want to add?
Yeah, I was actually going to add onto what Adam was saying. Is there also being mindful of where you target and market to? When I think about recruitment, I don't always just think about our recruiters in the high schools, but kind of what Johnny Craig has mentioned is trying to be in the community a lot more as it applies to this is where our students are coming from. This is where our faculty and staff may be coming from as well. Just making sure that our community also knows that Seminole State is here.
Good. Well, good.
I'd like to chime in there as well. And although my perspective is at the end of the journey for many students, they end the program and get a degree and move on. I think it's important that we connect with the community, and we've started to do that. We're doing a much better job getting out into the high schools, making sure that they see what's available and what careers to explore so that they can make better choices and get in those pathways early so we can keep them tracked through the programs that they're seeking.
Do you have any ideas of any specific, I'm not to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna, but any specifics that you would offer our colleagues and the school at large on how to do this? Because you guys are coming up with some great ideas, but
We've offered camps for high school students, particularly ones from the Health Academy that are already interested in a health career of some sort, and we rotate them through the different career paths that are options for them, including nursing and the allied health career choices. So it gives them a flavor of what they can expect and which way they may want to move.
From the technical standpoint, technical side is also partnering with community role models. Aaron Gordon, player for the Orlando Magic, his mother actually spent her career in technology. So he set up camps for underprivileged children. And one of our faculty members, Dr. Janelle Robinson, spent her summer teaching these camps and going out and working with these students. So not only was she there helping these high school students, and I think even a little bit younger, but she is a de facto advertisement and recruiting tool for Seminole State. So that's what these younger students are going to think of. So working and partnering with some community members, maybe not even organizations, community members with a desire.
Go ahead.
And kind of to piggyback off on that, even at the level of elementary school students, biology and physical sciences has on a couple of occasions brought in third graders to be, their first science college class, and Montessori kids coming in, giving them a tour of the lab, having hands-on experience. And so those are kids that are going to be exposed at a super early age to be able to see themselves in a discipline that they may be underrepresented in. And so, partnering even at, a young age with kids in the community is important.
Yeah, so early involvement leads to later success is what I hear from that too. Absolutely.
We have many adult high school students and GED that we do try to expose them to many of the college resources, but it would also be nice sometimes for the college to invite our students, like, for example, the Bridge program. There are times that these things are occurring for Seminole County students, and I think sometimes they forget right down a couple buildings away, we're here too. So to remind other departments that it would be great to include us if you're including the other adult high school programs in the county.
Well, Cheryl, that's something you and I have been focusing on for the last 3 years. Cheryl and I, every semester, we do a presentation for her adult high school students about information technology and cybersecurity. And the questions we always get are, I don't like math. Is it really hard? I'm not that smart. And my point is to point out to them that I'm not that smart, or else I wouldn't have gone to school for so long and figure out a way to really make money. But we need to take the stereotype out of some of this that either I'm not that smart, or I just can't do it, or I don't like math, is inviting our students and talking about Mark with the guided pathways, showing them there is a way to get from point A all the way through to point Z and using the skills that you have.
Right. It's a challenge, isn't it? And that's what I'm hearing. But I think, and I hope, we have more ideas to come, just like we're offering and in this discussion right here, right now. So I'm going to move on to the next question, if that's okay. And Miguel, I'm going to put you on the spot for a sec, if that's okay. I'm going to do it. I asked, and I'm still going to do it, right? So what practices are implemented by safety and security to ensure that everyone who interacts with our officers are treated equitably?
So one of the good things that I've noticed since being here is the team that the college has built. We have a very diverse team, age-wise, cultural-wise, education-wise. We really run the gamut. And that's step one. The next step is really my background in law enforcement, which is that community-oriented policing, right? You can't you can't lean on that when you need it. It's got to be a seed that you plant and you cultivate over years of work. So I'm trying to mirror that here as well. And it goes back to treating people the way you want to be treated, treating people the way you want your family to be treated. And that's one of the things that we're focusing on, and we're doing a good job of it, focusing on that customer service aspect, problem solving and partnerships, right? So those are the two key components to community policing. And the problem is that you're seeing this throughout the country right now is you can't do this in a hurry after the fact. You know, you have to do it, you have to front load it, you have to nurture it, you have to look in the mirror and see some ugly truths that are in there and admit it, and start working towards improving it. And it goes back to what I said earlier, which is listening, right? So that's one of the things that we want to invite everyone who's listening is we are always accessible for those communications. You know, we want to hear what we can do better. We also want to hear what we're doing good, right? Because then you want to reinforce the officers. You want to reinforce that positive behavior and say, hey, that was a great interaction I had. You know, keep up the good work. So it's kind of that balance of listening and that positive reinforcement on the things we are doing right and just accepting the things that we are not doing so good and fixing them and working with those who we serve to fix them. I think those are it's an ongoing, ever-changing target, if you had to put it into words. But you can never be dissuaded from trying to achieve it. Okay.
I think Dr. Lorenz had a great story earlier about how the security guard was connecting with the students and probably contributed to their success more than many others at the college. I see that at the Altamont campus. I see that we have a diverse group of security officers who connect with students, they connect with faculty and staff, and I see them working as a team with everyone around them. So I think that is a great start in having that team.
You know, what I hear from that is it's about connection, right? And I think that's been a lot of the overlap even early in our discussion today, kind of to what Miguel was talking about and Nancy, what you're alluding to as well, is having those positive interactions, ideally, and learning from them and growing into them even more and leaning into them even more. So I hear that, at least that's the message that I'm receiving right now. Anybody else want to add to that? I know this is a challenging question to ask.
I think there's a role for pain, though. I do think so. I recently have a friend who got Invisalign.
Okay.
And there's one reason why I don't want braces or Invisalign, and I have gaps in my teeth. The first reason is because of my heritage. My mother's family all have a big gap in their front teeth. So I want to stay the way I want to look, the way my family looked over a period of time. The second reason is I don't want to feel the pain that the transformation Invisalign brings. When you put Invisalign in your mouth, or you put braces in your mouth, it literally shifts the teeth and moves the teeth and causes great pain and a lot of discomfort. But in order for the transformation to occur, there must be a pain. When pain is present, that's actually how you know transformation is occurring. If there is no pain, it's not working, right? So if we really want to transform, I think the first step is that we're going to have to understand that we don't want to look like we used to look like. That's the first step. And number two, we have to feel discomfort and pain. And so a lot of these conversations, I'm sure, is causing discomfort to many, but that's necessary. So there's a role for pain.
There is a role for that, and that discomfort, and even in my clinical role that I work in sometimes from time to time, is that's how people move, isn't it? Is that discomfort and pain. I'm reminded, I hope it's okay to share this quote with you. It's in my head, and I use it a lot. And you made me think of this, and I hope you'll appreciate this. Pain is part of being alive, and we need to learn that. Pain does not last forever, nor is it necessarily unbearable, and we need to be taught that. It's a quote that has stuck with me over the years, and I think you're speaking to that, Maya, and I appreciate that too. So that's the movement, right? That feeling that. Anybody else want to add anything? Because I think Maya said something very profound in that statement. Okay. I think we might have
an excellent metaphor. I really like that metaphor. That was a good one.
Great. I'm big on metaphors. If anybody has talked to me, I love the metaphors. I think we don't have time for one more question. I'm mindful of everybody's time, and I want to be cognizant of that. So let me end with this question. It's a complex question, so we're not going to finish it. But I do definitely want to address it before we leave. In what ways do students' experiences vary within the college?
All right, so this is one of my favorite stories I love to tell my students. So for my first 3 years at the college, I worked in CTS, so in our information technology support area. And one of our interview questions was always, how do you represent, what does diversity mean to you, and how do you bring diversity to the college? And we were interviewing for a part-time position, and we had several students who interviewed for the job. And we asked the question, and the student was sitting there, and he thought. He said, well, honest with you, I'm just a boring old white guy. My dad overdosed on heroin when I was 15, and right now I'm taking care of my mom because she won't give up heroin, and she's slowly killing herself every day. And we all just kind of paused. And then we continued with the rest of the interview. And after the interview, I pulled the student aside, and I said, that right there, your story, that's your diversity. You're so enmeshed in it, you don't realize that that is a unique experience that is unique to you. I said, for your next interview, that's your diversity. Now, probably polish it up a little bit and don't bring the interview committee so far down, but recognizing that our students have these unique experiences, some of them dark like that, but a lot of them are really uplifting and really overcome these amazing odds. So I just think of what our students have done, and that one always, the student actually went on to get a job outside of the college, and is very successful now, but I always come back to that one of a great example of diversity within our students.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else want to address this?
I think all students come with a different past and a different set of experiences. And we don't even know sometimes, especially now that we're online, it makes it even more difficult to do that connection that I was talking about before. Sometimes we don't even know that a student's living out of his car and doing what he can do just to maintain, just to manage his coursework. And I think as the shock of being online now has started to wear off a bit, we can begin to focus on ways that we can reach into students' histories and help them with these challenges that they have and find ways for them to better manage or cope with some of these skills as they move forward.
Well, and perhaps to that point, the pandemic is bringing light to a lot of this stuff that has always been there, by the way. But maybe we're hearing about it in different ways and different methods. So there's something about that. Marcus, go ahead.
I would also add on to what Nancy's saying there too, is that what I've realized in this pandemic, how much of a challenge our students have had to face, not only us, but just with equipment issues and technology issues and not even being able to have access to technology without going to a library. or maybe being able to have a quiet home or quiet room in the house. That's also very challenging to be able to, focus on work. Or for us who may have, kids or family members at home, that's even more of a challenge to even try to do virtual learning in that regard. So putting those expectations on our students to be able to have to rise to the occasion in such a way, it's almost kind of eye-opening for me, because I'm like, you know what, you have all this time at your home, at your leisure to do, these couple math problems and, these essay assignments. I'm not sure why you're not utilizing that time. But I think just even hearing the background, all the conversations I've been having with students and virtual walk-ins, it's just been so telling for me as far as the equity or the other issues that might be underlying. But what I always kind of come into seeing is the different interactions that I've experienced with students, just seeing their background and how that is different across the board from each student I speak with, and also like knowing their family economic status and how that contributes to it. Additionally, with their employment status and how that contributes to their learning. There's just so many different things, along with the resources that may be available to them, whether they may know about it or not, or whether they have access to it so quickly. And kind of like what Nancy was mentioning before, I just had a conversation in the beginning of the summer with a student who was homeless, and they had more motivation than I felt like that I had. And it was like, I don't feel like I can even help or support you because you figured out everything. It's just your situation and circumstances are quite different at this point. But for everything that you've kind of mirrored, that may be a different scenario, situation, or story for another student I might come in contact with, where I want to do everything, take them to the pantry, take them to the websites, take them to counseling support services or anything like that. But even in that situation for a common student, maybe his or her situation was quite different. Yeah. So just kind of noting those boundaries and those equity issues, it's kind of been eye-opening for this situation we've been put into.
It is, and that word eye-opening, or that phrase, is very, I think, spot on. I'm reminded of dealing with some students sometimes, and I learned they're homeless, and it took me a long time to realize that. You would have, and then sometimes it just comes out of happenstance. And something happens, you don't realize it, and you're like, how have you been managing in doing all the work that you've been doing? So to that point, Marcus, you're spot on. Anybody else want to add something before I guess we wrap up? I'm not getting the hook yet, but I think it's time to wrap up soon. Debbie?
Yeah. Along these same lines off of what Nancy and Marcus is saying, just our own awareness of what our students are going through, what their goals are, what their aspirations are, what barriers they have, to get there. Super important in order to allow us to be able to support them. And I have a quote that I really love. It comes from Education Week, March 2019, Why Teacher-Student Relationships Matter. And so the relational part of teaching may very well be its most underrated aspect. Our first job as teachers is to make sure that we learn our students. And I love that turn of phrase, that we learn our students, that we connect with them on a real level, showing respect for their culture and affirming their worthiness to receive the best education possible. And I think that's what I personally want to strive for, but I think as a college, that's what we want to keep in mind. And this was a quote by James Ford. He was a 2015 North Carolina State Teacher of the Year, where that quote was pulled from. So, that kind of encompasses that overreaching idea.
It does encapsulate that, I think, too. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anybody else want to add before we move on?
One last thing, what Dr. Stark had mentioned earlier about connecting with our students, adult education students sometimes feel that they're not really part of the college. And that's why my colleagues try to, bring in people like Dr. Stark or even had others, and we bring them to the Career Center or the Planetarium, just try to get that connection going. But as we all are around the college, it'd be wonderful at times if they can be included in different activities, and that would be phenomenal. So they feel that they're treated as not maybe yet a college student, but on their path to become a college student through our adult education programs.
I would also like to say that sincerity starts at the lower level. So with all of these great programs, I'm really appreciative of the push. I think we were talking, I think Debbie was talking about how there's been a groundswell of information. I still believe at the lower levels, at the colleague levels, of showing understanding of the situation. Let's say this, for me, as a Black woman, this has been the hardest summer of my life. Just in every way, mentally, just to see what was going on and to see the progress we've made, and then the rapid turnaround, and just reaching out to me, say, Maya, how's this summer been for you? I think one of the great implicit bias parts of I did the thing that's due on the 30th, I think tomorrow, the implicit bias certificate. They said, don't wait for them to come to you. Feel free to literally just have a sincere conversation at just a lower level, not something that is coerced, not something that is trained, but just sincerity begins at the heart.
What I hear from that, Maya, and tell me if this makes sense, is that authentic moment, right? Just appreciating the authenticity from person to person in that moment at that time. And especially, well, at every level, but especially at the lower level. Does that capture? Okay. I just want to make sure, because it was a good point. I want to make sure we got that. Okay. With that said, unfortunately, I feel like we just got warmed up, because I think we literally just got warmed up. So, like I said earlier, this is the very beginning of many different conversations, and many of those conversations that are coming our way are going to be a lot more difficult even. And I want to invite everybody to have those conversations. To Maya's point, that discomfort is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes that's how we get to the other side, into a place of learning and growth and evolution. And I want to be mindful of that. And I want to invite everybody that's listening, all of our colleagues, to do that. I'm so appreciative of you inviting me and allowing me and trusting me enough to facilitate a conversation like this. While short, I think is still profound and substantive. And we will continue this. So this will be a to be continued. My hope is that we will continue this in person so we can make those connections and sit with each other and listen to each other and be graceful with each other and provide empathy and support and guidance, because we all need it right now. And I know I do. So I want to make sure that's conveyed. So from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the conversation that we are beginning. And I look forward to certainly continue it. One of the things I want to just remind you, there's workshops coming our way. I'm going to be facilitating one October 30th, Time to Heal, Conducting Conversations that Advance Racial Equity. It's going to be one of those more difficult conversations. So to Maya's point, we're going to kind of get into the weeds a little bit more, which I think we need to. So I invite that. I just wanted to be mindful and share that with you. And with that said, I appreciate your time, your consideration, and hopefully you leaned in and got something out of this. I know I did, and I appreciate that. I think, Lisa, you were going to say something? Or not? It's a very interesting room to be in when the whole school is watching us.
So I can jump in for Lisa.
But Michael, before you go, because one of the things I just want to just clarify is the clumsiness, and I hope it's okay that we got a little clumsy, but it was fine, by the way. And I just want to embrace that and kind of lean into that and say, everybody, let's get a little clumsy and sloppy when we have conversations, because that's sometimes the most authentic conversation you'll have. So I'm just appreciative of that. So Michael, you're on.
Or Lisa, do you want to take it? I'll go.
Okay. Thank you to the group. Yeah, my internet, today's the day, right? Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the panelists and for all of that. We're going to stop the live stream. Remember that at 12:15 there are sessions that start. All of the employee groups are meeting. So please join your colleagues then. Enjoy the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and afternoon sessions logging into Zoom. And thank you.